We're going to begin this morning with a hymn played by Carrie Day.
May nothing evil cross this door, and may our fortune never pry about these windows. May the roar and rain go by faith made strong. The rafters will withstand the battering of the storm. This heart, though all the world grow chill, will keep you warm. Peace shall walk softly through these rooms, touching our lips with holy wine, till every casual corner blooms into a shrine. With laughter drown the raucous shout, and though these sheltering walls are thin, may they be strong to keep hate out and hold love in.
The song that Carrie sang is the first one in our hymn book, Singing the Living Tradition. The words are from a poem written by Louis Untermeyer in 1923, expressing his belief about overcoming the evils of war. By faith made strong, peace shall walk softly through these rooms. The land where we gather has borne witness to thousands of years of Indigenous history, culture, and spirituality. It continues to do so, providing a rich and fertile context for us as we gather in religious community. For this, we are grateful. Our church building is located on Treaty 6 territory, and many of our members and friends also live there. We are responsible to honor the terms of the treaty. We therefore commit ourselves to the creation of an equitable, just, and compassionate relationship with our Indigenous neighbors throughout this territory. Good morning and welcome to Westwood. We are one of many Unitarian Universalist congregations in North America and around the world. While we take inspiration from other religious and spiritual practices, we do not promote revealed truths, nor do we accept that any scripture or human being is infallible. We do believe in intellectual freedom, in justice, in the power of compassion, and the need for concern for each other and the whole world. We believe that a commitment to these ideals makes us caring and active in the quest for human dignity. We do live in interesting times that make me glad that I have Westwood. Last year at this time, COVID-19 was not known to us, and concepts like social distancing and quarantines were theoretical rather than practiced. We had just elected a minority Liberal government in Ottawa, and we still had a year to wait for the US federal election. That year is now up, and my eyes, and maybe yours, are on the US this coming week. Interesting times indeed. My name is Dennis Foth, and it's my privilege to be your service leader this morning. Our speaker is our minister, Reverend Ann Barker, and our musicians are Carrie Day and Rebecca Patterson. Many others contribute to making these virtual Sunday services a reality. Preparation of the visuals and making sure the technology does what it's intended to do is done by many folks behind the scenes, and we'll give special recognition to Ilara and Bill for all of their help.
I'm Ann Barker, and I use she, her pronouns. It is a complex time in the world today, this week, this year. For me, comfort comes when I remember that I am not alone. I invite you into this service with these words by the Reverend Kathleen McTeague, a foundation for us to build upon. So I'm going to bring my chalice forward. If you have a chalice or a candle that you would like to light, now is the time to gather it. They Are With Us Still by Kathleen McTeague. In the struggles we choose for ourselves, in the ways we move forward in our lives and bring our world forward with us, it is right to remember the names of those who gave us strength in this choice of living. It is right to name the power of hard lives well lived. We share a history with those lives. We belong to the same motion. We too were strengthened by what had gone before. They too were drawn on by the vision of what might come to be. Those who lived before us, who struggled for justice and suffered injustice before us, have not melted into the dust and have not disappeared. They are with us still. The lives they lived hold us steady. Their words remind us and call us back to ourselves. Their courage and love evoke our own. We, the living, carry them with us. We are their voices, their hands, and their hearts. We take them with us, and with them, choose the path of deeper living. So we light our chalices this morning in the spirit of connection. From where we come to where we go, may we hold that balance gently.
The lighting of candles of concern and celebration is a cherished tradition at Westwood when we gather in person or in virtual space. We pause, reflect upon our week, recall our milestones, the joys, concerns, and sorrows, the changes in our lives, as well as those who need our healing thoughts. Community is deepened by sharing with each other what is in our hearts. In our virtual world today, we invite you to share joys and concerns by typing them into the chat box at the bottom of the screen while we listen to some music which will be played by Carrie. The music that Carrie is playing is Traumerei, which was composed by Robert Schumann in 1938. It is from his work Scenes from Childhood, songs which Schumann described as cheerful, gentle, and melodic. Thank you, Carrie, for a wonderful interpretation. We'll now take a moment to reflect on those joys and concerns left unsaid, but which we are mindful of. Invite you now to join me in reciting our Westwood affirmation. May the light of these candles inspire us to use our power to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to serve the spirit of truth in loving affection and trusting hope. Volunteer services and money sustain our church home and programs. Thank you to all who've pledged their time and money for the coming year through monthly or quarterly electronic bank transfers or post-dated checks. Contributions can be made at any time using Interact. Additional details for making donations can be found on the Westwood website. Now, during this offertory time, we feature things that are happening at Westwood.
Hello, I'm Ann Barker, minister at Westwood Unitarian, and I'd like to invite you to the first session of our anti-racism book study. So the first book we're going to be looking at is this one, Emergent Strategy, written by author Adrienne Marie Brown. I love this book. I've been working my way through it for over a year now, and it's opened my eyes to some of my shortcomings, but in a way that really invites me into relationship and into conversation. This is a book about how do we gather together? How do we truly be a compassionate community that welcomes all people? So I would love it if you join me for this conversation. We will be meeting, there's two options, Saturday, November 14th from 10 till noon, or Sunday, November 15th from 3 till 5 p.m. Both of those times are mountain time. So wherever you are in the world, those are mountain times. You pick one. I'd love it if you let me know which one you're coming to, but an RSVP is not required. Even making it all the way through the book is not required. You're welcome to just come for the conversation. If you have favorite parts in Emergent Strategy that you would like to read to the group or share with people, there'll be time for that in the gathering. So again, Saturday, November 14th from 10 till noon, Sunday, November 15th from 3 till 5 p.m. If you're watching this on YouTube or on Facebook, you're welcome to type your RSVP into the chat. And if you're watching this on the website or hearing about it in the Sunday service, then please just send me an email at minister@westwoodunitarian.ca or shoot me a text. Again, RSVP is not necessary. It just helps us with the planning. So Emergent Strategy by Adrienne Marie Brown will have sessions on November 14th or 15th. Choose the one that works best in your world. And it's a one and done kind of gathering, but for anybody who feels inspired like I do and wants to have a deeper dive conversation into this book and maybe more of the books that surround it. We will organize that following this first session. I look forward to hearing from you.
Rebecca Patterson will now lead us in our offertory song of thanks for the gifts of volunteer services and the money that sustains us.
From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live.
What are you hungry for? What is it that you need? What will nourish your body, your heart, your mind, your spirit? What fulfills your sense of purpose? As we crafted the themes for this year, we tried to anticipate the rhythms of what would come, the shifts in seasons, the events that recur, how we might be feeling as the months ticked on. What would we need in the face of uncertainty, complexity? What would each month bring? November's theme, hunger, is a container for all the happenings that we knew that we could not possibly predict. Where would we be with the rumored second wave of the coronavirus? What will be the outcome of the US election? And will we even know it in November? Who might have been lost to age or illness, to uncertainty or disagreement, to violence or vitriol, to a disaster of the natural or unnatural variety? November loomed in our planning as a beacon of uncertainty, and it may well live up to its promise. We might have higher hopes now for the outcome of the US election than we did this time last year. I know I do. But I also know that I never anticipated the kind of threats that we're seeing against the rule of law and against democracy. So this is all a bundle of disruption. The election may go well towards improving democracy, but it could be days or weeks or longer before we know the results. Next week, as we move towards Remembrance Day, our service topic is Hungry for Peace and Justice. Actually, it's Hungry for Justice and Peace, but same. And we'll speak more then about the political and systemic ways that Unitarian Universalists are called into service. If you find yourself needing to connect or wanting to talk about things before then, like how the election has gone or the things going on in the world in this sense of turmoil, please keep in mind that we have a coffee hour on Wednesday morning from 10 till 11, and I won't be in any hurry to leave it or close it if people are there and need a place to gather on Wednesday morning. But for today, we're going to pull back from the global picture and make our focus more personal. We're going to ask the individual question once again. What is it that you are hungry for? In the most basic sense, hunger is a sign from the body and the brain alerting us to a need. Our bodies want to be fed and be kept in balance. Enough water, enough nutrients, enough movement. All of these things matter. And when one or more are in short supply, we get signals, distress signals of a sort, letting us know that there is a problem or a need. In an affluent or abundant culture where food is plentiful and easy to access, and then beyond that, when food becomes a commodity that is over-sensationalized and over-commercialized, our eating habits change dramatically, and we get further and further away from the intended nature of our body's signaling systems. We interrupt the body's ability to give us meaningful messages. And to that end, when there's food on every corner and we rarely have an empty hand, it is not uncommon for people to forget altogether what it feels like to actually be hungry. If there is always food, we don't ever have to be hungry. We might not be well fed in terms of nutrition or basic health principles, but the reliable messages get interrupted because we have consumed something, anything. And to complicate things even more, even if we're receiving physiological signals, we practice ignoring those indicators until they no longer register. We just keep plugging along day after day, ignoring what's going on. It might not be food for you, not physical hunger or thirst. Maybe it's rest. Are you aware of the signals that tell you you are in need of rest? And if you are aware of them, are you listening? Are you acting in your own best interest? Or it could be connection, another one of our essential needs, more and more complicated by this threat of an invisible virus, but complicated already even before that. Between the busy, busy, busy and the hustle, 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 people are harder and harder to connect with. Then the distractions of all the competition for your time and attention, so much of which does not nourish. We find ourselves in a mega mall of messages where it is harder and harder to find what you are looking for. And we haven't spoken yet about safety or security, about the pressure that compounds from financial concerns, painful and sometimes dangerous relationships, fear of housing or food insecurity, disintegrating protections and benefits for working people, about the illusion that a side hustle is any way to live for the vast majority of the population, about the barriers to and the long waits for healthcare. Even if we are fortunate enough to have security and manageable health, to have some sort of balance in our life and meaningful connections, still it is likely that we'll have times when we find ourselves yearning. For what? Nazra Adem came last week and spoke powerfully about what it means to slow down, to look within, to reorient, about what it means to measure a life not by what we do, but by what? By value, by meaning, by our inherent worth, by recognizing our anchors, the things that ground and secure us to life, so that we do not succumb to the things, to the people, and to the structures that would tear us apart from ourselves. How do we pause long enough to hear the sound of our own voice, to recognize the value of our own lives, separate from the systems and structures that relentlessly, continuously work to bind us? Life is a series of signs and signals. I don't mean from beyond, although that may well be a factor. That's not for me to say or to represent where you find your wisdom or your knowing. But I'm here to say that there are signs and signals all around us. The great task of being human, should we choose to accept it, is to discern what those signs and signals mean. Medicine, on its best days, will tell you that you are the person best suited to know when something is not right with you. Of course, we can't always tell when something is going wrong, but when we feel like something is going wrong, even if the doctor says, oh, that's just typical aging, if we continue to feel like something is going wrong, we are the best authority on our own bodies, the very best person to wave the flag and to bring attention back to it. We are the best judge of when our kids are just not right, when our illness just doesn't feel like a regular cold, when our relationship just seems out of whack. When we skip over those kinds of feelings, we miss important indicators. When we skip over them repeatedly, we might stop noticing them entirely. Denial crushes us. Just like the physical hunger messages, if we ignore them long enough, we become numb to them. We carry on as if we are okay until we crash right into the wall. In my life, early fall is always both a marathon and a sprint. It's startup time, church year, school year, summer vacations are behind us. Everybody's back to work and back on their projects and activities. Work and social programs are kicking into full gear. Everything needs to be done and done yesterday. And all of it is important. Well, it feels important. Some of it might be fake important, but it's hard to tell at the beginning. And for me, early fall is the beginning. Happens every year. This September, we took 3 days away, not far away, just kind of tucked away, out of the ordinary. I didn't do what I usually do, which is to protect a couple of days for a much needed reset and then use them to catch up on the work that I haven't got done so far. Instead, this time I broke that cycle, and for me, it was profound. It was the reset that I needed, and I was immensely grateful that I had access to such an opportunity. You will have your own stories of things or times or practices that you might need to interrupt, so you can hear the signals again, so that you can see the signs. It can be as simple as taking an intentional breath, pausing for just a minute to breathe and check in, that can shift something for you. Those precious hours that we spend together on Sunday mornings, we hope that they can be of use to you in this very way. To be a pause in your week where pathways open, whether they be pathways of body or mind, of spirit or philosophy, whether they are social or social justice oriented. Whatever opens up for you, we hope that it brings you closer to a sense of meaning and a sense of well-being. There is wisdom in the experiences and lessons of our ancestors. There is guidance in ritual and tradition. There is support among communities, whether inherited or chosen. There is knowledge within our own hearts and minds. There is sustenance in nature and truth all around us. There is hope. Now, we're going to have a hunger reflection where you just get to check in and see what it is that you are hungry for. So I invite you to make yourself comfortable, to trust your own wisdom. Let your own wisdom and guidance lead you. So I'm going to make suggestions, but trust yourself more than you trust me in these next few minutes. So I want you to settle in whatever way is best for you when you're best able to focus or let go. That might mean settling into your chair or laying on the floor. Close your eyes if you wish. Write in your journal if that's a more reflective experience for you. Do what works for you. If it helps to turn off the lights or turn off your screen, please feel free. I want to ask you once again, what are you hungry for? What is it that you need? What will nourish your body, your heart, your mind, your spirit? What fulfills your sense of purpose? When we speak of hunger, we think first of our stomachs, of food, but today I invite you to focus on your hands. Open your hands and let them rest gently. How often we hold them tight. These are what you create with, shape the world with, how you hold the beings and the objects that you love. If you do not have two hands or do not use your hands, we know that you are still a creator, a shaper, a holder. So please shift your focus to what it is that you use to create and shape and hold. And that is true for any of you. If there is a better expression of these qualities than your hands, then place your attention there. Focus your mind or your eyes on these creative tools, these extensions and expressions of you that cause life, art, function, food, or music to come into the world. Even if you are saying now, I don't create, she doesn't know me, check in again. Remember the seeds you planted in soil or perhaps in young minds. Remember the patch you made to hold something or someone together, even if only to tide them over until real help could arrive. Think back to when your hands, your tools, were filled with contentment. Where were they? What were they doing? What was the feeling, activity, the company that brought them peace? Contentment. Think of a time when your hands were delighted, excited, engaged. When they were strong, making nothing into something or something into something else, doing something hard. When they were gentle, careful, protective, tender. Think of a time when they took an image from your mind and caused it to be real in the world. A meal, a garment, a building, a sculpture, anything. What do you know about these tools that have been a part of you for so long? What is their magic and their gift in your life? What is their best work? What trouble have they been? How do they suffer? Where is their pain? If we pause long enough to hear their messages, what do they need us to know? Where do they want us to be? What are they hungry for? What are they hungry for? Being gentle with your hands, your hearts, your minds, offer up gratitude to these tools that have sustained you. And then shift kindly back into the room. Your hands, your legs, your mind, your heart, your teeth, your ears, your imagination, your wisdom. pieces and parts that come together, forming the unique being that only you are. Each with a story, each with their own hunger, each of them a reflection of you, each of them a message for you. What are you hungry for? What is it that you need? What will nourish your body, your heart, your mind, your spirit? What fulfills your sense of purpose? In this time of mental chaos, of viral danger, of economic disruption, of cultural transformation, there is something that we are still responsible for, and that is to nurture the truth of who we are, to carry it with honor, for you are sacred and holy, just because you are here, alive, regardless of your doing. You are called to nourish the truth of your being, to feed its hunger, to listen for its signals, to feed its hunger so that it may be its strongest self. And as the hunger of your being is met, then you're invited to also help your neighbor, for they are hungry too. Relearning how to read the signs, to hear the signals, to trust the feelings, to honor the knowing. This is the human quest for meaning. This is the path of being. This is how we open ourselves up to allow the shifts to happen. This is how we begin to save the world. Blessed be, and amen.
Carrie's closing music today is "This Is My Song." The words were written by the poet Lloyd Stone in 1934. The music is the familiar tune Finlandia, composed by Jean Sibelius.
This is my song, O God of all the nations, a song of peace for lands afar and mine. This is my home, the country where my heart is. Here are my hopes, my dreams, my holy shrine. But other hearts in other lands are beating with hopes and dreams as true and high as mine. My country's skies are bluer than the ocean, and sunlight beams on clover leaf and pine. But other lands have sunlight too and clover, and skies are everywhere as blue as mine. Oh, hear my song, thou God of all the nations, a song of peace for their land and for mine.
I'm going to bring my chalice forward. And true to form, I think I'll close with a poem by the Reverend Teresa Inez Soto from Spilling the Light, which is now just over my right shoulder. A rock in our pocket. You'll see this month, I'm featuring rocks on my altar. They always feel like one of those things that helps hold me to ground. When they are kids, it seems like a profession talking to rocks and listening for their beauty. For the song that says, then they are belong together, they pick up the shiny one, the round one, the flat one, the pretty one. They store them in boxes, in bags, in pockets. Don't worry, they are very clean after being laundered. But what you will miss unless you pay attention is this. There is always the possibility that we can treasure what is in our pockets. There is the knowledge of the earth beneath all of us that a plain, sparkly rock can give. It is the hurtling rock round on which we race around the universe. There is the sense of beauty all around, but also choosing to experience it, to seize it, and savor it. You could do worse than a practical, ongoing yes. This community will not begrudge you any reminder of you, individual, our shared strength. Carry it with you everywhere. Be ready to share it. You know where you can get more. Thank you for joining us this morning. Canada has its first ever UU military chaplain in training right now. First ever. And I can't think of anything that our military folks need more than a UU chaplain. And that is the Lieutenant Nicole Mackay. And Nicole has sent us opening words for our Remembrance Day service next week. I'm really excited to share this video with you. She is a lovely young woman living at CFB Borden. That's her photo you see on the slide. So if you're able to join us next week, and if you're not, it'll come up in a day or three on video. I encourage you to watch it and to see this lovely human and to hear, I'll tell you a little bit more about her story.